Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome to the show. I'm Jose Cruz. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show. We're on WS Radio, and our guest today is Walter Ritter. He is the co-founder of Write Out Loud. Walter, I should say, welcome back to the show.
Why, thanks very much. It's great to be here.
We're so glad to have you again. And I know there have been some updates, so I do want to talk about those too, because you have a conference in mind. Are you still working on that?
Well, yes. It's really a state secret, well, a non-state secret just so far, because I very much do want to get it on the boards, but it's still early in process. We have it in mind for May, maybe June of 2020.
Okay, very good. I know there's a lot of work involved in putting on conferences, but let's get to the real fundamental things. So why would you want to put on a conference? You have an organization, Write Out Loud, that you co-founded. And tell me the mission of the organization, what you're doing out there. I won't say you're a one-man show, maybe two, pretty much a one-man show.
Close to it. Well, yes and no. The two of us who really started and run Write Out Loud, Veronica Murphy, who's co-founder and the artistic director, and I, are certainly the most deeply involved. But we can't do what we do without the assistance of dozens of other people, primarily other actors. San Diego happens to be a pretty terrific theater town, and we are blessed with lots of talented actors, and many of those are very, very good readers out loud of literature, of stories in particular, which is what we really do in addition to we read a lot of poetry, but we're not a, quote, poetry reading organization. We're a literature reading organization.
It's a literary organization.
Right.
Say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yes, Veronica and I started it, and we still are the ones who keep it moving forward. But without these other people, these actors on whom we rely, very little would get done. For example, last year we served over 23,000 people in San Diego County. That's up from 17,000 the previous year.
Oh, my. You've been busy.
We are very busy, yes.
Okay.
And it's more than the two of us can do.
And what's your biggest audience that you've ever had?
Oh, that would be TwainFest. Twain as in Mark Twain. It's held every August. You've been a volunteer there.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be able to say. It takes place at the Old Town State Park. And Mr. Twain is the headliner and the masthead. And we actually have a wonderful Twain impersonator named Tim West.
You couldn't get Hal Holbrook.
I'm afraid that wasn't in the budget. But 7,200 people have come to TwainFest both last summer and the summer before. So that's our biggest single event.
But you've been doing TwainFest since how many years now?
This will be the 10th.
10th year. Did you
this
say that
coming
already?
August. Right.
There we go. Oh, my goodness. Okay, I have to be there.
We give you a primo job.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm up for it. Very exciting. I mean, listeners might be thinking to themselves, okay, well, this is a literacy show. It sounds like what Walter does, and I want to go back to the real fundamentals because you love literature.
Indeed.
You love sharing it and putting it in front of people. It's not poetry readings; it's writings. It's hence writing out loud or
Correct.
write out loud.
Write out loud.
Yeah.
It's everything from an essay to a short story to a fragment of a novel to a poem.
But you take us also back to what we would call the origins of literacy, which is going back
Exactly.
to
Storytelling.
oracy,
Right.
or storytelling.
Correctly.
Yeah,
Correct. Where literature began was spoken word. It evolved from there into print in black and white.
And to me, it's just incredible. I need to do more research, but maybe you can answer some of the questions because it blows me away. You take someone like Homer, who did the Iliad and who did the Odyssey. We didn't have writing or print back then, did we?
No, they were kept alive through eons by people. bards, if you will, people who memorized huge epic stories, which were frequently written in verse, such as the Iliad and the Odyssey, and then would retell them. And that's how they stayed alive until such time as they were transcribed and put into print.
It's remarkable. And so what inspires you, Walter, to do the work that you're doing? Because it is a lot of work, but I know you love it.
Well, that's just it. We really love this work. We're both actors, Veronica and I, and we are no longer young. And so we decided that we would like to do something that we could quite realistically do late into our lives. And that was read things, even if we got to the point which I may have touched upon, where memorizing something is no longer very easy. We don't need to memorize things if we're reading literature aloud.
Right.
Have it right in front of you. I now enlarge the type font up to 16 point just to be able to sure I'm seeing it clearly.
I understand.
Right. So that was one of our motivations. And another is we really get a great deal of pleasure and gratification out of serving others. And what we do is related to literacy in that it is an encouragement. And for many people, it's an introduction to material and ideas, and certainly writers, that they may not have been familiar with, or maybe they were introduced to it in a high school English class, but haven't thought about it in a long time.
Right. But language comes first. The Iliad, the Odyssey were poems that were memorized, whole books, and that's where we start developing the foundation for what we do now, which is reading, comprehension and stuff, enjoying literature, etc. So there's your literacy connection for one, but the other part is that you have your main audience. Is it not children?
We've certainly put an emphasis on children from toddler age and younger. Even I now have begun doing stories aloud for children as young as 6 months. In Japan, by the way, it is now widely done where stories are told to children still in the womb and then newly born, just so that from early on, they're hearing the rhythms of their language aloud.
I like that. I need to find your source for that. I believe it because we tell people it's never, not only do we say it's never too late, but it's never too early.
I agree.
Yeah. So.
I agree. And yes, we do put a big emphasis on young audiences because we think that's where the greatest long-term payoff is. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So we have things that begin at that young age and go right through the grades with programs like Storybox Theater, which is really the Japanese storytelling tradition called kamishibai, which is a marvelous way of telling stories to groups of children or groups of anybody. And then on up into middle school and high school, where we have a program called Read, Imagine, Create, which is unique and quite effective. And Poetry Out Loud is just for high school students. That's a program sponsored by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation. And the participants memorize 3 poems that come out of a big anthology provided by the NEA. And then they compete first at the school level, then at the county level, then in Sacramento at the state level, speaking here in California, and ultimately the winners go to Washington, D.C.
Now, how are you involved in that?
We are the San Diego County coordinators for Poetry Out Loud.
I love it. Okay. All righty. And do the young people, I'm saying teenagers, right, high school students, do they tend to pick a particular poem or author?
Oh, no, it's all over the map.
Okay.
It can be Shakespeare, it can be Anne Bradstreet, it could be Robert Frost. And the anthology provided by the NEA or the Poetry Foundation, or both, whoever did it, is very, very broad. So it ranges from classics to very contemporary things.
So I'm going to guess, one of your objectives, you're meeting them, because I'm hearing it right now. We have a fear that literature is going to get lost, that poetry is going to get lost, that we have all these other distractions, that the young people are not going to engage maybe the way that we did. You're saying and you're showing, you're providing opportunities so that it is not going away. It's happening.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
good.
we are.
And so would you say the young people share the same passion that you do for literature? And it's just
many do.
Mm-hmm.
I have no way of knowing whether as many do today as did a few decades ago. I have no idea.
Okay.
But they certainly have a lot of other choices than to read and become enthusiastic about great writing. And a lot of them exercise those options. But by offering them these opportunities, read, imagine, create, poetry out loud in particular, we're making headway. We know that because the number of schools and the number of students who participate has grown every year.
Very good. Very exciting. We need more of this, and you're doing it, and I'm so glad that you're in our community and making that happen. We're going to take a break in just a bit and talk about some other aspects of the work that you're doing. Who are the actors? I didn't know you were an actor. I didn't know that. And who are the people who engage with you, and why do they do it, and the difference it's making. And do want to get back to, and I'm not going to be able to say that Japanese word, so you're going to say it for us.
Kamishibai.
And get to your website information so people can see what it looks like, because it's a very basic. It dates a long while, right? And so we want them to know more about that. But first, we're going to take this break. I'm Jose Cruz. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Donate cash, furniture, clothes, and other gently used household items to Father Joe's Villages and get a nice tax break in April. Every donation is tax deductible. Believe you can make a difference. Be Father Joe. Go to neighborhood.org or call 1-800-HOMELESS to donate today.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Too much to do? Not enough time to get it done? Call on the experts at Another 8 Hours for your business support needs. By partnering with Another 8 Hours, we allow you to focus on the more important matters, like being in front of your clients, doing what you do best, rather than being stuck at a desk poring over paperwork, rummaging through emails, returning phone calls, and struggling to get everything done by yourself. Meanwhile, your family and social life are going down the drain. Go to another8hours.com or call 8 more hours. That's 866-734-6877.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children. Because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Jose Cruz. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio. Our guest is Walter Ritter. He is the co-founder of Write Out Loud. Let's see, Walter, I wanted to ask you about your acting history. What were you doing when you were actively acting?
Well, that goes back a ways. I started in high school acting. I came here to San Diego in 1967 to attend the then USIU School of Performing Arts, which I did, and I graduated from there in 71 with a bachelor's degree in fine arts, a BFA. I was an actor. I went to New York and tried my hand there with less than stellar results. And by 1974, I was done, went into small business, completely unrelated to theater. Long story, around the year 2000, I found myself back in San Diego. And my gosh, the theater scene in San Diego had done enormous things since I was involved with it in the late 60s. And so I decided after a bit of pondering that I would audition and see if I could, play any role whatsoever in this burgeoning theater scene here. And I feel very fortunate. I was found useful, got a lot of roles. I spent 8 years as a founding member of Ion Theater, which sadly has now demised. But I've worked at Lamb's Players and a variety of theater companies around San Diego.
Well, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
And it's come out again in this other form where you're bringing life to literature. Now, sometimes we call that plays, but you're taking another approach to it. And,
well, there's a very famous actor from England a generation ago named Charles Laughton, more than one generation ago, to tell the truth. But he was still very active into the 1960s. And one of the things he did when he wasn't starring in films and whatnot, he just read. And he was on television throughout the United States, late-night TV and whatnot, just reading. He would take Bible stories and turn them into the most, without changing a word, mind you, turn it into the most engaging pieces of literature.
See, I'd love to see those.
They're available on YouTube.
Oh, are they really?
Charles Laughton. You'd love it. He's a great inspiration to me. I'd love to do a one-man show someday, for example, in the San Diego Fringe Festival, of maybe an homage to Laughton.
Boy, you have so many great ideas. You put them into play. You have brought us TwainFest. I mean, we love Twain. And so that's one of the things. And then you brought this other thing to us. And you can tell us how many other people are doing this in the U.S., and it's the kamishibai.
Kamishibai.
Kamishibai, see?
You're very good. Getting closer every time.
I know.
Kamishibai is a fabulously effective and enjoyable way to tell stories to groups, mostly to children. But the truth is, it can be used to tell a story to anybody or any group. Kamishibai translates perfectly into English. Kami means paper, and shibai means theater. And that's exactly what it is. It's a wooden box that when it's closed resembles an attaché case, about the same size and certainly the same shape. When it's opened, it looks like a miniature proscenium arch theater. But its depth of stage is only a few inches, enough to slip in a stack of pictures. And these pictures are all deliberately made so that they can be seen clearly from a distance, say the back of a classroom or the class of a library group. And that means that unlike when story readers read a book, a storybook, a picture book, that they then turn around to share the picture, many times the people any distance away can't really see that picture because it was designed to be seen from a close distance. like in the arms of your mother or your grandmother, reading you that story, which is the perfect arrangement.
Yeah.
But this is the perfect arrangement for groups.
Right.
And so that's kamishibai. And when I discovered it sort of deliberately by accident some 7-8 years ago, I fell out of my chair. This was what we had been looking for, a way to bring literature stories, picture stories, to youngsters that was not the same as what everybody has been doing, which we consider clumsy.
Yes.
Not only is the storybook, picture book reading clumsy in the sense that you have to turn the book around and not everybody can really see the picture, it's also clumsy because when you do that, you interrupt the narrative. And as actors, we find that highly disagreeable. A narrative should only stop like that when, for a good reason, for dramatic effect perhaps, or to better convey the writer's meaning and intent, you stop for a moment. But this is a repetitive interruption. No good. No good.
Now, how many of these do you own? One?
We have 3 of them now.
3 of them?
Right.
And as far as you know, who else is doing this in the U.S.?
Oh, in the U.S., it's done probably, I don't know the number, but I personally know of 12 or 18 or so.
People who are out using this.
Right. There are probably more. There are 3 Facebook groups dedicated to kamishibai, but they are all international. I belong to all of them.
Okay, got it. Now, do you have a hard time, or is it pretty easy for you to get into the schools and such?
Yes, largely because it is. We don't do much to promote kamishibai or storybox. What we call storybox theater. So when we're in a school, we leave cards behind that they're illustrated cards with the teachers and ask them if they would be kind enough to recommend us to other teachers. They do, and so the phone keeps ringing just on the basis of that level of marketing.
Very good, very good. We need more of these resources out there, or entertainment, or whatever you would call it, exposure to words. What I really like about this, Walter, and you tell me, but I know it's language, but it's also pictures. It's not a video. It's not explaining. It's not filling in all the blanks. So there's this engagement on the part of the listener that requires their imagination and attention.
I couldn't possibly put it any better than you just put it. It does have all those virtues. The fact that it isn't an animated video is a blessing and a strength. I'm no scientist, and I'm certainly no neuroscientist, but I have read lay-level articles and books about the subject of reading, and neuroscientists have been learning about the way children's brains work and behave. Watching a still picture in association with a spoken narrative has proven to be a very good thing for children as they listen and absorb. Key word is absorb.
Absorb. It's a very good thing for all of us. Well, we have about a minute. Your website where someone can go to see a picture of a
kamishibai.
Kamishibai. And any last words from you?
Well, our website is Write, W-R-I-T-E, Out Loud, SD for San Diego. WriteOutLoudSD.com. That's simple enough.
Okay.
And there you can see all of what we're up to, including our very newest thing that started just last October, TwainFest. Also in Old Town, but at the old Adobe Chapel in Old Town. And it's a fantastic environment. But that's another subject for another day.
Yeah, we're going to bring you back. If things move along with the conference,
thank you. Yes, I will.
You need to come back anyway.
The conference, by the way, to anybody who's listening and cares, is a kamishibai conference.
That's right. Very good. You've been listening to Walter Ritter from Write Out Loud, and I'm Jose Cruz on the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children.
After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
In the military, things can change in an instant. Your personal life is just the same. Just like you protect our country, you want your family protected. That's why thousands of military members trust Navy Mutual Life Insurance. Navy Mutual is nonprofit, providing current and former Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard families with life insurance, no sales fees, and no military service restrictions. Protecting members on active duty and beyond. Call 1-800-628-6011, 800-628-6011, NavyMutual.org, insuring those who serve.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McCullough brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcCullough.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McCulloughe. ChristopherMcCullough.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. MOZEguitars.com, 619-698-1185.